Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Anne and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Anne Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go!
So welcome to tonight's evening of Ship Talk, an evening with Anne, Annie, and Lee. I'm Lori Smith. I'm your Director for Alumni Relations and a two-time graduate of Shippensburg University. So in the hot seat tonight, we have Lee Adams Kuhn, Vice President of Promotion at BMG Broken Bow Records in Nashville, Tennessee. So Lee has been a part of my alumni connection for several years. And more recently, she's became a part of my personal friend connection. Through these conversations with Lee, I've learned through her current career, the beginnings of her career, and some of the intriguing stories that she had, that I was like, you know what, this is a story to really share. So next we bring in Anne Deeter Gallaher, CEO of Deeter Gallaher Group. So Anne, again, has been a member of my alumni connection, and I emailed Anne and I said, Anne, I have an idea for an event. Do you want to hear about it? To which she replied, yes, I love a great idea. So next we have Annie Carnathan, CEO of Universal Media. So Anne and Annie together are not only CEOs of their own companies, accomplished in their own right and sense, but they're also co-hosts of the immensely popular podcast, Grit and Gravitas. So tonight, with the support of our First Lady, Colleen Patterson, who is with us tonight, who has helped make this evening a success, and with the chemistry of Anne and Annie, we are very fortunate to see the magic of Grit and Gravitas right here at Shippensburg University. Take it away.
Woo! Now, we normally do a countdown. Annie, you want to do our countdown?
Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Annie Carnathan, Grit and Gravitas is on the road and in the house at Shippensburg University.
Ship it, hooray! Thanks for being here, everybody. It means a lot to us.
Yes, we've got students. Can I have a big cheer for the students that came out tonight? We've got alumni, maybe an even bigger cheer. I didn't like the years on the name tag. I wasn't crazy about that. We have professors, we have deans, we have donors. We are so excited and privileged to be here and share Grit and Gravitas on the road. 3 alums. We barely got through our Zoom pre-conference, so I don't know how tonight's going to go.
That's the fun part. We don't know.
I know. Lee, we're so excited to have you. I'm holding Love on Tour here, and we want to start off with, first give us your background here at SHIP, and then how you ended up in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right, well, my background is that I wanted to get into country radio since the time I was 13 and discovered Willie Nelson. I had lofty goals of wanting to meet him, and the only way I could think of to do it was to work in radio. At the time, without the internet and anything else, I didn't even know that record labels existed. I didn't know how that worked, but people on the radio met everybody. So I thought, this is going to be amazing. So I told my parents I wanted to become a country music disc jockey. My dad fell over. It was not his goal for me, but they were kind enough to send me to Shippensburg, and I studied radio, television communications here, and loved my 4 years here. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this campus and everything it had to offer. I joined WSYC my very first year here, and I had my own country show. And they didn't have country albums, so I had to carry my crate of albums, yes, albums, vinyl's back, so you know what that is, across the campus. And every Sunday, I'm not sure that I had a lot of students listening, but I think the townies really loved my show. So that's kind of how I got my start. And then when I graduated, it was actually one of my professors who wrote a really nice letter, Professor Potter, if anybody remembers him, a glowing recommendation to WHYL in Carlisle to hire me as a full-time on-air person. And this gentleman sitting right here, Ray Thomas, another alumni of Shippensburg, worked there, and anytime anything came across from a Shippensburg alumni, he's like, we need to hire that person. And that's how I started my career in country music.
That's a pretty bold start, Annie.
It's a bold start, and when you have, first thing is a goal, and how are you going to bring that goal to fruition? And there's a lot of dotted lines, right, to any goal, and what is the perseverance and the willingness to sacrifice to get to it? 13's that's pretty directional. She wanted to do that at 13, and that's a tough business. Not that every business isn't really difficult, but it tells you a lot about Lee that she made it in the country music business.
I think that might be a new hot major for Shippensburg University. If you can be a country music DJ or country music artist, there you go. We've opened up a new category for us.
Well, it was actually, when I got to the radio station, part of my job was to talk to the record executives every week to find out what songs they wanted us to play on the radio. So I ended up knowing all of the record executives at every label in Nashville. And it was just through my communication with them, staying in touch with them. Every time I got a new album, I would get excited. I wanted to listen to it. And I would write letters to all of the promotions executives saying, this is what I liked most. This is the song I think would do best on the radio. And I just thought that's what you did in the job. I didn't realize that that was rare. They appreciated my passion, and then one day somebody at Sony Music called me and offered to interview me for a job. And I did so well in that interview. I nailed it. And they gave the job to Jack Christopher. And but then my name was in some sort of an imaginary hat, so then somebody from a division of MCA Records called me. And again, I rocked the interview, and they gave it to Buck Stevens. And but that person had remembered me, and when she had another opening a year later, she called and said, would you like the job? So that was a division of MCA Records called Decca, and that's what got me into the record industry. And I've been in record promotion now for 30 years.
That's
so
amazing.
Anne is a genius, I will just tell you that right now, and she coined the term business vitamin. So with our podcast, it's solely to help women in business. Instead of talking about it, let's support each other and amplify. So as Lori said, it's our side hustle. But every podcast we call out a business vitamin. And if you heard her, she wrote handwritten notes. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you today the impact that will have if you do that, if you just write a handwritten note, a couple sentences. The ability to do that is extraordinary. There are people from 30 years ago when I was a radio rep still have that, right? That impact is very profound. And so that's, to me now, the extra mile that makes it personally you and extraordinary as an impression.
Lee, I think you shared, 2 takeaways already, but business vitamins, thanks for sharing that and explaining that. But in podcast land, we started out, this is our 5th year, so we kind of are survivors here. We've crested 102 episodes. Lee, this might be 103. But we do setbacks and comebacks, and we think that's so important in listening to the stories. And we have several Grit Gravitas guests in the room. Raise your hand if you've been a guest on the show, the podcast. Good. Patty Civic, get that hand out there. Yes, and so we'll share a little bit that we get real here on what happens. So you're climbing the ladder, you apply for 2 jobs, and you get a no. They don't take you. And so part of coming through college and or maybe you graduated high school and you're pursuing a trade position or you're applying. How do you deal with those setbacks? What was your So you said that with a smile on your face. I'm sure at that point in time, okay, you thought you nailed it, and you probably told your whole family, like, I got it, I can't wait, you're checking salaries, and it doesn't go to you. And then you do the same thing again, and you do your homework and your research, and it doesn't go to you. So I think what defines us, especially as women in business, is what's your comeback after that? How did you talk us through your soft skills, your emotional intelligence? How did you recover from that?
Well, I was lucky in that I had a job that I loved. I was on the radio. I was playing country music every day. I was going to concerts. So my job was already great. I was having a lot of fun. So I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something different. The record side of it looked interesting. But I wasn't devastated that I got to stay on radio. However, it's never easy to be told no, or you're not the choice, or you're not the pick. And after the second time, I started wondering, is this job for me? Is there something I'm doing in the interview that is making them say, you're not the right person for this job? So I don't know where it would have went or where it would have gone if they hadn't called me back. I didn't go for a third interview. They called me back and said, we remember you, we want to hire you. So I don't really know what I would have done. I may have pursued it, or I may have pursued something more in radio. I loved both of the fields. I still do. I still miss radio. Ray was nice enough to put me on the air a couple of weeks ago, and I realized how much I missed it.
Aww.
So I think one takeaway to think about is that, yes, a no just means that there's a yes somewhere else. Maybe you think you want to do something. Maybe it isn't right for you. It turned out to be right for me. But if it had never happened, I wouldn't have known the difference, and I would have pursued something else. Maybe I would have gotten into artist management, or maybe I would have gone to TV, or maybe I would have stayed in radio. So I think it's realizing that there's not just one avenue of success. You just don't have one talent. You probably have multiple that can take you to many different roads.
Right.
And no doesn't have to stop you along the way. No just means maybe not now. Mm-hmm. You define what no means to you. And I have been at a really high level in sales, and now it's super high level, and directing it. And the most no's wins in sales. Right? If you don't rack up enough no's, you're absolutely never, ever, ever going to get to yes. And you define what no means for you. No can mean no more. No can mean, well, no, that's no to you, but watch me go, right? Like, so I do think the more you normalize the word no, the less impact it has, the less power it has. And let's always remember that no is one person's opinion. And what kind of power are you going to give them along with the word no in your own life? And so Lee's like, well, no is no, but look, I'm going to continue to be happy and define that my way. And I think that's really resilient.
I think Annie Carnathan is the queen of emotional resilience. And I think if there's anything, especially women, but probably all business owners, if you're starting your business, if you're a founder, you have to have unlimited amounts of emotional resilience. I'm here to confess I have not mastered that yet. I try to surround myself with people who have mastered that. But certainly in your industry, Lee, with music artists, you're pitching them or you're promoting them. There's got to be a lot of no's along the way.
A whole lot of no's. Oh, yeah.
Know your song. We're not playing your song.
They put up more barriers to play music for people who are paid to play music than I can even begin to tell you. It's, they're too country, they're not country enough, they're too twangy, they're not twangy enough, they sound like pop, they don't sound like pop. It's female, we need male, it's male, we need female, we need a band, we need uptempo, we need ballad, whatever I'm taking them, some industries are trained to tell people no 3 times before they ever get to a yes. I think our industry is trained to tell us about 10 times before we get to a yes.
Double, triple that.
So there's a lot of no's, and I think part of the problem in an industry like this is when we get a new artist, we get put in a car with this person, a complete stranger, and we get put in a car with them for 2 weeks. We are touring visiting radio stations with this basic stranger. And at my age, most of them are almost like my kids at this point.
Right.
And you're listening to their hopes and their dreams, and it's in your hands to make it happen. And then somebody tells you that your baby's ugly. Nobody wants to hear that. No, my baby is not. My baby is beautiful. And so it hurts.
Right.
It hurts, not only for you, but you hurt for them. So you have to really take that, and I'm not a very emotional person. I'm a pragmatic Capricorn all the way. So if I'm feeling it, I can't imagine what some of my empath coworkers are feeling. So you really have to separate yourself from it. Remember, it's a business, it's a product, no matter how much emotion is involved, and you just have to get out and fight for it again the next week. And I fought for songs for well over a year till I got them to #1. And then I've had other songs that have come out and they just went to the top of the charts in 13 weeks. So you have to overcome a lot of objections.
So that leads us in, when you're talking about the music industry, Love on Tour, which is Lee's new book, literally hot off the press. I think, is it?
June.
Okay.
A few hot elements too.
I was just going to say, it's a little racy in
it's
here.
It's a little racy, and I didn't mind.
So, because you're in the music industry, and I asked you earlier, I said, should I recognize any of these fictitious names in here? Do we know the artists? Are these true tour bus stories on here? But talk to us, share with all of us the journey to writing a book. First of all, for the comm students in the room, that doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes you percolate with your idea, and then the market changes and the culture changes, and all of a sudden your idea, maybe you missed that small window. You didn't miss your window. So tell us about the process to bring your idea to market.
Well, I tried to write my first book about a girl in country music when I was 12, and I'm 60. So it was a 48-year process. Let's start with that. I actually wrote the book about 10 years ago in its original inception, and I don't like to edit. I like to write and move on.
Did you have an editor?
I've had about 12 editors on this book, and every one of them had different ideas as to what should happen. I will say this about editors. They're brilliant. They would come to me and say, would your character do this? And I'm like, of course, I wrote the character. And then I'd go, oh my gosh, no, they wouldn't have. You're so right. So editors are really amazing. And part of what my book does is I really want to honor behind-the-scenes people. And editors are behind-the-scenes, brilliant, brilliant people. So I wrote it, and then I edited it, and then I started taking tutorials, and I pitched it to an agent who got interested. So now we're about 3 or 4 years in, and she sends me to another editor, so that's another year, and then COVID hits, and then she has some health problems, and now we're out of COVID, so now we're like 7 years in. So then we finally get a publisher who sends it to yet another editor. So it's a process. It's a long process. And with every edit, I had to update it, because some of the artists that I work with now weren't even out when I wrote the book, and now they're vocalists of the year or entertainers of the year. So I kind of had to update it so that it didn't sound dated or look dated. There's a couple of things that really don't age out. I mean, think about Hallmark movies at Christmas. Mm-hmm. We all watch them. We all know that they're going to end up together. We all know who she's going to end up with. We all know that one of them is going to be from the city and one of them is going to be from the country. We're going to have a farmer and we're going to have an executive, and these are what we're going to... But we love them and we watch them anyway. So we still watch Love Actually. We still watch The Holiday. Why? Because we love a happy ending love story. We all want to see that happen. So it was kind of hard for a chick book love story to age out too much.
But I sat here and said to Lee, and I said, I don't know what this is going to say about me, but the character I don't think I should have liked, I absolutely loved. And so I'm going to just give you that fun fact. So it's Phoebe, not to do anything to spoil your fun reading the book. But Phoebe, I was like, yeah, Phoebe, like that's exactly what I would have said. That's exactly what I would have done. And so depending on your lens or your journey or your life or whatever, I appreciated that she used words that she says, here's what I think, and from a good intent, I thought, right? And Lee's like, that was my favorite character too. I'm like, really? I was like, yeah, that makes me, I just don't look at things the same way. And so those range of characters and the way in which there's so many layers to this book. And again, depending on your journey and your life, what you're going to focus on, there's a lot to unpack. And I liked sort of the multiple storylines, and that's not easy to do. So you have two published authors up here, right? So that's extraordinary to have accomplished. And I just thought, what a labor of love for this book, and really enjoyed it. So it isn't going to be the same for anyone's experience because you're reading it from your lens, which makes it even more exciting.
The whole writing process requires a lot of grit.
It does.
And so you said, what did you say, 10 years to develop
10
the
years.
characters?
It probably took about a year or so to write the original version, but
That's a lot of discipline to stay
It
on
is.
a project, which is a passion project, aside, nothing you're paid for.
No.
But so that's another business vitamin, Annie, is to really keep your foot on the gas pedal, bring your grit to whatever business idea you have, whatever job you're interviewing for. Don't give up after the first no. But you know in your heart if this is worth 10 years. And, I'm sure, how did you feel when it came off the press and you're holding it in your hand? Like, did you do cartwheels? Where's Randy? He can tell us.
Yes and no. It's funny because I feel like I understand my artists better because when you put yourself out there with a work of art, it's 60 years old. I really don't want to wear a bikini in public. And I kind of felt like I was standing on the town square in a bikini saying, judge me. Because people are going to.
There's a lot of that element in the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
at any age, it's tough to be judged.
It is. And you're going to get bad reviews. You're going to get good reviews. Again, nobody wants to be told their baby's ugly. And it's going to happen. So you're really putting yourself out there. And I tell people, Myers-Briggs proved that I'm an introvert. So it makes it even harder for me to put myself out there and have eyes on me. So, it was easy to be on the radio because nobody was looking at me.
Right.
So it's a little bit harder when you're putting a work of art out there that you poured your heart and soul into for 10 years, but for me, almost 48 years. And then seeing the feedback. Luckily, most of it's been very good, but not all of it. And you kind of have to accept that when you do it.
Well, now you have an immediate connection with your music artists because they do that every single day on a stage in front of a microphone, never guaranteed that the audience is ever going to clap. Perhaps some unfortunately walk out or it didn't relate to them, but you've just done the same thing. So now the next time you're in the tour bus with your new artist, you can say, hey, I kind of know how you feel.
I think you have to put blinders on. You have to have a single purpose to drive a goal and to get to what you think success is. And I've said every step along the way, you just need someone to believe in you. You just need advocacy. You need someone to go, am I crazy? Like, should I still be this purposeful for that goal? And it really only ever matters what is in each one of our hearts to do that and to have those single-minded steps toward that end goal. But that's difficult.
I think if you're starting a business or you're starting a career or you're writing a book, and Annie, what you're talking about in my world, I call balcony people. You need those people that are in the wings for you, that are always cheering and saying, Lee, you can do it. Okay, the editor wanted you to go one more pass. You might have disagreed, but you can do it. You're in year 9. Okay, year 10 is coming. Annie, all the decisions you make all the time, you have balcony people that are going to support you. And for the young students in the room, find your balcony people that will be there in the wings when you need them, standing up front, holding you up on those occasions, but just supporting you, telling you the truth. Did it smart?
That's a tricky one. Be careful with that, right? Because some people say, tell me the truth. I want you to tell me the truth. No, they don't. And I mean, I think that Lee touched on that in the very beginning. Like, You have to have a strong inner fortitude to hear the truth. As much as it may not be what you ever want to hear, the truth is truly what will set you free. Because that's the only way you grow, it's the only way you learn, and it's the only way forward is through. And you have to acknowledge it, you have to look in the mirror, you have to, what was my role in it, and whether I disappointed someone, I made a mistake, I took the wrong way. The truth is a really important component of any goal you could ever have.
And there's strength in admitting you made a mistake.
Woo, for sure.
If you're in an argument and you're yelling the loudest, you're probably the one who's defending the most. It can disarm somebody so quickly if you just go, you know what, I made a mistake. I would much rather the people who work for me come to me and say, I really screwed up, I need your help, versus trying to bury the fact that the mistake was theirs. Let's hit it head on, because you disarm people when you say, I made a mistake, how can I fix it? Right away, it tempers them down from a 10 to about a 5 or a 4.
Right.
Now we're within a realm where we could all work together and make sense, as opposed to passions being high. So I'm always the first one to say, maybe I was wrong, maybe I made a mistake. Let's talk that through. Let's see.
And the we dynamic is much better than me versus you.
Yeah.
When it's we, it changes it immediately. We are going to get through this. We are going to figure this out. We are going to learn. And again, we're together in this. And so the only way forward is through, and we're much stronger together to do that.
Lee, was there a part of the book, so maybe a scene or a chapter or a character, where you said to the editors, you're not going to touch him or her? Like, this is my baby, the heart of the book. You're not allowed to cut any words or change the scene.
No, there wasn't anything that I wasn't willing to consider what the editor was saying, because this is the first book I've ever put out like this, to this degree. And they've been doing this for years. This is their profession.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur. This is my hobby. So for me to act like I knew more than them would have been very pretentious of me. So I was always willing to listen to everything that they said. There were a couple of times when, if I was ever asked to do something that went against my morals, my belief system, the answer would be straight up no, absolutely not. There were a couple of things where I'd have one editor say, that's my favorite part, and the other one say, I don't like that part. And I would go with my gut. If I liked it, if everybody was telling me they didn't like it, that's one thing. But if I was getting mixed signals, I went with my gut on it. But when we get a new artist walking in the door, and I've worked with some huge artists. I've worked with Leanne Womack, Kenny Rogers, Jason Aldean. I work with some very big artists. And when they first come in, it's the ones that will sit down. I always remember taking an artist out on the road who is a huge artist right now. I don't want to call anybody out, but he's a huge artist right now. And he and his manager showed up at one of my radio events where we had all my radio clients there. And they land, and the manager says, where can we start drinking? And I'm about to go to a client event. And I said, we aren't going to start drinking. And he said, well, that's how we roll. I said, well, not when you're with me, it isn't. I'll let you know when you can start drinking. Now, if this had been a paid concert, it would have been none of my business who drank when, but this was my event.
Right.
So we went out to grab a bite to eat. The manager ordered a beer. The 26-year-old artist ordered a soda. And I thought, your artist just understood this faster than you did. So when they're willing to listen to our advice and say, okay, this part is inherently me. I don't want to lose the cowboy hat, the cowboy boots. I don't want to lose the basis of my sound and my style. But I understand that maybe I shouldn't do this versus this. The ones that are willing to listen to us are going to go the farthest. The ones that tell us that they know everything walking in the door are the ones that we probably aren't going to take as far as we would like. So I wanted to be that person who walked in the door and said, you know more than me. Help me figure out how to be the best of me. And that's what I chose to do. And most editors, as much as I hate the process, and I really hate the process, have said you're one of the easiest authors we've ever worked with because you're willing to listen
You're
to us.
teachable. You're
That's
teachable.
a business vitamin.
Yeah, you're teachable. I've told the story before in some earlier podcasts. When I graduated from SHIP on a Saturday, I started my job the next Monday, and it was at a publishing house. And, you know, you're coming out of college, you got your degree, and you are all that. And I thought, man, I nailed the interview. I got the job. We're going to start the paycheck. And I go in, and the editor-in-chief asked me to make the coffee. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't say, are you serious? But it was a good...
In your head, did you say?
Yeah, in my head. It was a good lesson in humility because, you know, he was the boss and signing the checks, and I was there on their terms. And I could have, I guess, made a stink, but again, I was trying to give myself a teachable moment and understand there is a business hierarchy, and I was absolute bottom of the totem pole. And I didn't want to act out or anything. I smiled and made the coffee. And then rose, at the publishing house. So it all turned out fine. But sometimes you
now
do
he
things.
makes her a coffee.
Yeah. Sometimes you do things, because that's the protocol there. Not that you want to or you don't want to, but sometimes you do things that are expected of you.
You do. I was on a tour with 2 artists. It was an acoustic tour we were doing. So we're all on a bus together. And it's 2 females and the rest males, so you're pretty much riding on a moving boys' dormitory. And I'm trying to take care of 2 artists. So I'm the first one up, the last one to bed. I'm the one running out in the morning, getting the coffee,
Are you
getting
taking the
donuts,
iPhones
getting the
from them?
breakfast sandwiches. I'm doing all of it. And we got to the end of about a 2-week run. And I will call out this artist. It's a guy named Craig Morgan, if you've ever heard Redneck Yacht Club, or That's What I Love About Sunday. So it's Craig Morgan, and we were pretty close friends, so I could say this. But we finally get to a hotel. We're all going to get to sleep in the next day because we're not due to go anywhere. And he goes, I forgot to tell you I'm going hunting tomorrow, and I have to be up at 5:30 to go to the airport, and you have to take me. And I kind of lost it a little bit. And I said, I want to be the person that somebody gets the hot tea for in the morning. And I want to be the person that somebody carries their luggage in and checks them into the hotel. And I want to be, and I just kind of went off. So as we're checking into the hotel, he's kind of standing back like, I don't know how far she's going with this. And he said, hey, I left something in the car. Can I have the keys? So I said, just keep them. I'll meet you in the lobby at 5 in the morning or whatever. I come down to the lobby, he's checked out, gotten our receipts, got in the car, warmed it up because it was winter, and made me a hot tea with cream and sugar. So sometimes it's like you're saying, sometimes you just have to realize that somebody's going to get the coffee and somebody's not, and that role can change now and again.
Oh, good. So, Lee, what would you tell, we ask this of every podcast guest, what would you tell your younger self?
You're going to get to meet Willie Nelson when you're 28. Hang in there, kid. Probably not to worry so much and take it all so seriously. I didn't date in high school, and I worried about that. Why? Was I going to marry the guy that I knew who ate glue in 5th grade? I mean, when you're
didn't, did you? You didn't.
No, I did not. When you're younger, your pool is a little bit small. Nothing against anybody who did marry that person. They grow up. But you've got so much life ahead of you, and you worry so much about so many things. And I wish I could go back. I'm a worrier by nature, so wish I could just go back and not worry so much. Still work hard, still be a type A, still do everything that I did, but not worry about it all so much. Not worry about the little stuff so much.
No, that's good.
There's not big stuff to worry about.
And worry to me was always sort of like praying for something I didn't want. I'd rather pray. I'd rather sort of say, here's what I would like the journey to be, although when you really realize life is very much about what happens in a day and how we react to it versus controlling anything, right? And that's a sort of dizzying feeling, but worry can consume you. It does bad things to your body. And at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow and say, I did the best that I could do today, that's what you owe yourself, and that's what you owe the people around you.
Business vitamin there, Annie. Great job.
Grace,
Great job.
right? Anne's
Yeah.
the grace of this whole outfit, right? The grit and the gravitas, but certainly she has both. But you do have to give yourself a lot of grace, and that's everyone. That's not just women. That's everyone, because it can just consume you, and the next thing you know, you're not enjoying anything that you're doing.
Right.
And it's really important to enjoy the success that you have in a day.
I think we have a responsibility as women in business, to open doors for Gen Z or the millennials at every opportunity. Make sure we advocate for them as they're arising or entering into the workplace, making introductions, and inspiring them in some way, and maybe not intentionally or on purpose, but in the manner that we carry ourselves and the decisions we make. So, Lee, you have had 25 years of being around some of the most famous people in music entertainment. What inspires you on that journey?
Probably watching it happen, because when you start out, you're taking an artist around with a song, and you're going, again, radio station to radio station. We work with about 300 radio stations across the country. There's a team of 5 of us, so we're going to all of these radio stations. Very old school. We're going into the station, sitting down, they've got a guitar and they're playing a song, and we're asking them to put it on the radio. And when it goes from that, I say, since I said that I work with Jason Aldean, I've worked with him for 20 years. He came to us in his 20s back in 2004, and Hicktown was our first song with him. And we had no idea where it was going. He was breaking new ground with the sound that he had. He had earrings in both ears. That was like shocking back then. Everybody was like, what's with the earrings in both ears? And he had his own style. And we were at a #1 party where they had asked me to speak. And I said, we went from radio tour to stadium tour.
Wow.
And to take an artist, the music industry is very volatile. Most people don't stay at a company for almost 25 years like I've been at this particular label. So they don't get that opportunity. You come in midway, you're there in the beginning, you're there at the end, but you're not there for the whole ride. So to take him from radio tour to stadium tour, that's just an amazing feeling. And I'm a small part of it. I'm a spoke in a huge wheel. I'm behind the scenes. Again, it's why I wanted to focus on those people in my book. I'm a very, very small spoke in the wheel, but I am a spoke in the wheel.
Yeah, the artists think you're a very important spoke in the wheel. So if you're the one that has the relationships with the radio stations, you're the ones that you're the one that's personally promoting, so staking your reputation on the artist's song, that this is going to make a difference, and the timing is perfect, and this artist has it. So I think you're understating yourself.
It was, when we started out at the label, it was, so I lost a couple of jobs along the way. I didn't throw in that part. I went through 2 mergers that ended with my division being cut. And I was actually going to go back to law school to be an entertainment attorney. And Craig Morgan and the guy who now runs our company, this guy John, tried to convince me to go to this fledgling label that nobody wanted to be at. It was the embarrassment of Nashville. I'm like, why would I want to do this? And then I met some of the people that worked there, and I said, oh my gosh, no. So Craig called me, and he said, I've got to show up in Hartford, Connecticut, jump on the bus with me. We're going to talk about this. Because John was in, Craig and I weren't so sure. So we decided that if all of us would go together, we would do it. Having no idea that we would end up being, the #1 record label of the year, X amount of years later. Craig, John, and I are still together there. So I had a lot of missteps along the way and some job losses. So to be able to be in this position now, we started the company more or less together. We had an owner, but it was the 3 of us digging in and starting it together. So I did definitely have a very big impact back then. It would be understated to say that I didn't, because there was 3 of us.
Right. And
we were just doing everything we could to get seen and heard, and it was hard, and it was grueling, but when Almost Home went top 10, it was just a huge achievement. So back then, I absolutely, now we're so big that I'm literally a spoke in the wheel, but back then I was definitely a bigger part of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that, just like that.
This is Annie's famous line. Every single podcast she'll say it just like that, and that's supposed to be my cue to stop talking. But then I replied to her, it's our podcast, so we can really do whatever we want to do. We can make it as long as we wish. No, and I saw Lori back there giving us the signal. So we would love some questions from the audience, like students, our business colleagues, professors, staff, friends. Any question here for Lee or Annie or me? And I love the ship vibe. I love coming back to campus, giving back. Certainly, Lee, in just a real world, you probably have a lot of Nashville fans now reaching out to you, like how do they come work with you now, which is awesome. I think the heart of our podcast is connections and relationships.
Yeah, when you're reading Phoebe in the book, I just want to get back to this. She's super interesting, and she sort of surprises you, right? And I do think life needs more spontaneity,
Yep.
more inspiration that way. And I just was drawn to her because she was so real, right? Unpredictable, and just spoke from her heart, right? And that's what spoke to my heart. And I think sometimes it's okay to not be predictable and to just trust that. You have to be you because everybody else is taken. And we want you to do that.
I love that Annie likes Phoebe because she was probably the most fun character to write of the female characters, and she has one of the smaller roles actually out of the main five. But I have a lot of people come up to me and say, I could not stand Phoebe. And I have to hold my tongue because I loved Phoebe. I loved her.
Pamela's like, yep.
And I have to hold my tongue when they say, I really didn't like her at all. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if you'd like me. I loved her. So,
Phoebe.
I kind of temper and go, well, she had her good points.
Yeah, she's just real.
But I love that you loved her.
I did.
I love that.
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Any questions?
How about one of our students back there? Because they're all really
We've got some
exceptional.
comm students
I
back there.
met 4 or 5 back there, and they're all awesome. And let's get a question back there. Come on now.
And there's a microphone in the middle and it's on.
Let's do us a solid here, girls, ladies.
Oh,
Yeah,
Patty?
yeah, Patty. She's a tribe member.
And she was a star basketball player here at Ship. So, yes.
Basketball coach right here. So, thank you. A great discussion tonight, ladies. We really enjoyed it. And, listening to you speak, I'm sure you saw quite the underbelly of your industry. And so, seeing that, what kept you doing the right thing for the
Ooh.
right reasons?
Good question, Patty.
Luckily, in country music, we don't see as much of it as you do in other formats, and I've always worked country. But more than anything, you see behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest shock to most people coming into the industry is how songs actually do get on the radio and what you have to do. And it's not just a matter of you put out a song and everybody wants to play it. And not all artists handle it well. Some of them say, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. This absolutely takes the art out of it for me. It's a business. Radio has to make money. Radio is only going to make money if you continue listening to the radio. They're only going to continue listening to the radio if you're playing the music that they want. And record labels are only going to make money if people are investing in what you're doing. And when neither of those things are happening, it can be a very, very difficult industry. So that is more what you have to learn to overcome, and you have to temper your passion for the music with the reality of the business.
That's good. I mean, always keeping that business lens at whatever you're doing, whether, say, for the comm students out there, I had no idea or no desire to start my own PR firm. But when I did, that's the component I missed, was the business, Dr. Cootie. I missed the business part of that. And it would have shortened my learning curve if I had taken one course, at Ship in finance or business or management. So yeah, I would recommend every student here take a course in business, no matter if you're humanities or you're arts or whatever. You're going to need that, and you have no idea where your path will take you.
And I would just add to that, you're going to be with yourself 24/7, and you are the only judge of you, and how do you want to live, and what kind of person do you want to be, whether it's honest, transparency, you have to live with you. And that always, to me, is the most important part of me being me. And that's a choice Lee made, and that's a choice Anne made. Because sometimes it's easy not to make that choice, and you have to stay true to that.
Wait, we have a lot of questions. This is awesome.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the discussion tonight. I'll start with Lee, but I welcome answers from both of you as well. You've accomplished all of these things. Your resume is infinite. What is your next big dream?
Ooh.
What's the next big
Retirement.
challenge? Then what are you going to do in retirement?
Being on a boat as much as possible. And there is some truth in that. This is very much a young person's game. And I used to always joke that if when they started asking me if I was the artist's mom, I was going to retire, and that ship sailed. I'm 20 and 30 years older than my artists, so I'm getting to the point where they're going to say, are you the grandmother? I do believe it's a young person's game. I also want to go out while I'm on top, and I'm working with two of the biggest artists in country music right now. Our company has 4 of the biggest in country music right now. I really do want to go out while I still love the industry and love the business, and I don't want it to have any kind of negative connotation, but there are a lot of things that I want to write more books. I've really enjoyed getting into that. I've always been a bibliophile. I absolutely love books. I love everything about books. When I was in between jobs at one point, I went to work at Walden Books just to pay for my habit. They're very synergistic in that people who like artists can't wait for the next album. People who like authors can't wait for the next book.
Right.
You've got agents, you've got managers, you've got this, they're very synergistic, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've been, again, trying to do it since I was 12. So it's always been another one of my passions. And you get to an age where you realize, I've been doing record promotion for 30 years. I had the artist of the decade. I've worked 60 #1 songs. How many times can you climb the same mountain before you want to try another one? And at my age, I'm on the downhill slope of how much time I have left to do that. So probably it will be slowly letting go of one industry and picking up with another one. And spending a lot of time on boats.
Yeah. Good.
Hi, my name is Maddie Shively. I'm a graduate student here at SHIP. I appreciated your dialogue on emotional resilience and dealing with those rejections. And as you may know, the percentage for freshly graduated college students of unemployment is higher than the unemployment rate in America currently. So did you have any additional words of encouragement for students who are freshly graduated, who are just trying to push past those rejections?
Mine is don't give up, don't ever give up. I just had 24-year-old woman is finishing up her master's at Duquesne, undergrad at Duquesne, 800 applications for employment in 5 months, and most ghosted her, did not answer at all. And again, the only way to move forward is through. And I would just not ever, you can't give up, right? And all of those no's is leading you to the ultimate yes. And the bigger the setback, the bigger the comeback, and I'm a walking example of that. That would be my...
No, I love that. Surround yourself with people who are emotionally resilient too. Was it Jim Rohn, the businessman, said you're the product of the 5 people closest to you. So if the people closest to you, are big thinkers and curious and encouragers, you're the beneficiary of that. And like Annie said, don't take no for an answer. You're going to have rejection, and you might not get the job that you're interviewing, like Lee didn't, but maybe there's a chance for you to create your own job. When I started, I started from zero, but I didn't want to swim in every other pond. I wanted to make my own pond, And I knew that, the market will tell you how much money they'll pay you for your service or your idea. So maybe as you keep inching in job interviews or pursuing that, maybe you're going to start your own business and you'll be your own founder. Pamela, I'm going to shout you out. Pamela Hill, founder of Signature Staffing, year 28. When Pamela went to open her business with 2 small kids, she went to 7 banks, and every single one said no. Number 8 said yes, and she is still with that bank. So you know that scene in Pretty Woman where she comes back into the store with all her packages, like, big mistake. That just so reminds me of Pamela, just the perseverance, the resilience. It's going to happen. It just depends if it's going to happen.
Moving you towards something.
Yep.
That I know. And action and more action is momentum of some kind. You're moving towards something. It's just not something you know when or what or where, but you have got to call someone on your personal board of directors and say, I need a little air in my balloon, right? like my ticker bounce is just a little bit down. Can you, and boom, those people are your ride or dies, and man, they're there for me, right? And it's 5 people that will always pick up the phone, always be there for me, and always move that resilience needle back up.
Yep. Good.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. My name's Luke. I'm a senior here and the president of our PRSSA chapter.
Yeah.
And
All right. Luke,
thank you. Thank you.
you look very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Shout out.
Yeah, thank you. So you talked a lot about how you receive rejection. When you wrote a book, you had extensive feedback processes. When you receive rejection, when you receive feedback that sometimes it's not the feedback you want, I imagine throughout your career, you've had to give rejections and you've had to give negative feedback.
Ooh.
How did those experiences adjust the way that you gave feedback and rejections to others?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is. Unless somebody is doing something maliciously wrong and calculated to be wrong, I think you can give negative feedback in a positive way. If somebody is just outright malicious, they're treating people wrong, they're doing things that, illegal, whatever it happens to be, if you're just having to respond to them to help them see past here to get to here, I think you can do it in a way that's positive. I'm a 37-year martial artist and a Capricorn, and I'm type A. So if you come at me, I'm probably going to go on the defensive and then the offensive, because that's what my personality is going to do. But if you come at me about something I did wrong, but you approach it correctly, I'm going to see it. I'm not going to have my anger blinders on, if you will. And I think most people are like that. Again, nobody likes to be told they're wrong. We're taught from a very young age that it's not okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's
Right.
okay to make mistakes. You're going to find your biggest learning from making mistakes and from being wrong. So I think as long as you are approaching it correctly with people, and I just try to be gentle with it. I wasn't always that way. You learn, you grow, you learn what works for you. You learn to be diplomatic as time goes on. And I would just say, you brought up the word grace. I think grace is such a beautiful word. Yeah. And I don't think we give enough of it in life. We don't give enough grace to each other, to be real, to be human, to make mistakes. When I look at social media and we think teenagers are going to get everything right, they're not. And in today's world, thousands to millions of people can see it. Now, if I did something, that I shouldn't have when I was a teenager, maybe 50 people in my class saw it. But now and the fact that we expect people to be perfect is just, it's not going to happen. So I hope I just give people grace when they make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, tell me if you've made a mistake. If I need to, reject them for a job interview or something, I try to do it, again, graciously. You have a lot of what is needed for this job. However, it's not just about you coming into the job. It's how can you best fit with our team.
Right.
And right now, we just need a different fit. And that can be very true. Maybe I've got 4 females on the team already, and it's like, it would be really nice to have a male perspective on music, because right now we have 4 female perspectives. If the female is the better for the job, I'll hire her anyway. But maybe if I've got, both of them equal, I might look at the need for something else, just like with music. I love your ballad, but I need an up-tempo right now.
Right.
I have to wait until they need a ballad. So I think just having grace and just being kind to people goes a long way.
Good. Hi.
Hi, my name's Jaden Pullman. I'm the editor-in-chief of our student newspaper, The
Ooh.
Slate.
You look fabulous too, young lady.
Thank you so much. I really
You're
appreciate
fit.
that.
Love the
I guess
fit.
my question would be, is there any key experiences from Shippensburg University that really
Ooh.
shaped you? And are there any takeaways that you still carry with you today, in the professional world?
Definitely. I came out of high school as, I was in National Honor Society, blah, 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 blah. And then I didn't know grades went as low as I saw them in some of my classes. Before I discovered Willie Nelson, I wanted to be a geologist. Well, let me tell you something. Anything that ends in OGY is not going to end well for me. And they gave me a meteorology class, a gen ed. I wasn't going to go into weather. A meteorology class, freshman year, 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday and Wednesday. Another class met Tuesday and Thursday, and then we all met together on Friday. So what they were learning on Tuesday is what I learned on Monday. My first test was a 57. I'd never seen a 57. I didn't know 57s existed. And I remember going to the professor, and he's like, well, get a tutor. So I found out who got an A in the class, talked to her. I think I got up to a 63 on the next one. So I started showing up every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every morning at 8 o'clock, I was in whatever class was teaching what I was trying to learn so that I could pass this class. And I remember going into the final, I got about a 67. I brought it up a little bit. And the professor pulled me aside. I can't even remember what his name was. And he goes, what is your major? I said, radio television. He goes, you're not doing anything in meteorology. I said, no. He said, why do you have this class? I go, they gave it to me as a gen ed. I don't know if they still do that, but they gave you your first semester classes, your first year here. He goes, I don't care what you do on the final. You're going to get a C in my class. He said, I've been teaching for 20 years, and I have never not only seen a freshman never miss an 8 a.m. class, but voluntarily come to classes that aren't even theirs. He said, you have a C in my class.
Wow.
So I think what I learned from that is kind of what both Anne and Annie were saying. There are going to be people in your life who see what you have to offer, and they're going to acknowledge that, and they're going to work you through the tougher times to get you to your potential. And he knew that I had enough potential and enough care to do what I did, and I still try to do that. If I'm at the bathroom at an event and there's no toilet paper, I'll walk up to the person in charge of it and say, can I have a couple of rolls of toilet paper? The women's restroom is out. I'll go put them on myself.
Right.
Nothing can be so far below you or above you that you won't do it. Your funny coffee story, my dad was a CPA, and he worked for a very big corporation. He was an executive. And he was given a new secretary, and yes, that's what they were called back then. I'm sure it would have a different name today. But on her first day at work, my dad said, oh, by the way, I take my coffee black. And she goes, I don't do coffee. My dad goes, okay, well, clearly we both need to drink coffee in the morning. How do you take yours? And for the next 9 years, my dad got them both coffee every single morning.
What a great response. What a great response.
So my dad is like the head of finance for this corporation, and he got his secretary coffee every single morning. So I think it's what I took from here is that professor cared that I cared.
Yeah.
He saw that I was willing to go the extra mile, that I was going to do whatever it took to succeed in that class. And I think if you're willing to do that, then people are going to notice it, and they're going to help you succeed in it.
Thank you so much.
I do have a quick follow-up to that, which kind of speaks to the emotional resilience question. I think it was freshman year, I had a professor of English, I think his name was Keith, Dr. Krause. And he was not didn't smile a lot. He was kind of brutal. But our assignment was to think of an article, an idea, and we were supposed to pitch a magazine to be published. So it could be any magazine you wanted, and we pinned our rejection letters on the bulletin board in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So your rejection was out there for everybody to see. So it kind of gave you the idea clearly, the percent, statistically, we were not going to, do very good, but it could be anything. But I got one accepted. The magazine is defunct now. It was American Hunter. It tells you that my boyfriend, now husband, was huge in hunting, and he gave me this awesome tip, and they published it. And I still have the letter at my office in the filing cabinet. But it taught you resilience, persistence. But sometimes if one door closes, you pick another topic.
Absolutely.
I was a student misfit, and what I got from Shippensburg was the ability to apply radio and television. And I used to go into town and get a client, and I thought my world would never be the same, and it never has been. But Ship was enough of a guide for a student misfit who thought, what in the world am I doing in college? I'm so bored, right? So without my mom saying, yes, we're going to get a college degree. And then after that, you go be a misfit anywhere you want. But just such fond memories here of the radio station, of the studio, of just everything about what I really enjoyed and then applying it directly to a career. So I had a radio show, and I went in and met clients to be sales, and I went, this is not even a comparison, right? And I did that at Ship.
That's awesome. Hi.
Hi, my name is Allison. I'm a freshman here at Ship, and my question would be, what should I be doing throughout my college experience here to make the most for my future, make the most out of my experience here, and whatever path I want to go down?
What are you studying?
I'm marketing right now.
Ooh, nice.
So the one thing I'll do, and they probably have things, but what I tell people in marketing, because that is like the broadest brush ever. And if you don't boil that down, that's typical top of funnel, it's this wide, right? And you're trying to come down to the bottom. So you want someone to know precisely what you do well. And I think right now in marketing, go find a nonprofit and be meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. You're a digital native. Nonprofits struggle with that expertise. You can contribute to that. You can build a book of business. You can build a book of work, and you're doing good. And you didn't have to do that, right? But as meaningful as you'll be to that nonprofit and build your experience when you didn't have to do that is 100% of what I tell young people in marketing. Go help someone, and then say, this is why I did that, and let it be seen through the work you're doing.
It's an awesome first step that you're here in this room. If you look around you, we have several deans. We have several executives, business owners, business founders. Connect them. Don't leave this room until you ask for their business card. Connect with them on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And they will open a lot of doors. They can make introductions. That's gold. Networking is gold. So thanks for the question, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, reach out. People want to help you.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Kira. I'm also a freshman here at Ship. And my question would be, you guys talked a lot about balcony people and the people that in your life and how you have so much life to live and people to meet. I just want to know about any of the experiences that helped you meet the people that supported you, or how they supported you, so we can learn how to support others in our lives.
Oh, these are such good questions. You guys are really smart. I don't think my group was this smart.
And again, I think Anne just said, being here.
Yeah.
You're not going to meet people without getting up and going where people are. And people, someone at work said about me the other month, I never met a stranger. And I thought my heart would burst, because I never have. There's something interesting about every single person I meet, whether it's for a season, a reason, whether it's just I left making them feel better than I found them, right? And so I think you have to be where people are, you have to be curious, and you have to be willing to introduce yourself and ask about them, right? Because in that, they will then open up and care about you.
I would switch that question around, and I would say, who are the 3 people you can be the balcony person for? and start from that lens, and then you'll find a whole lot of people that you know, that want to pour themselves into you and encourage you and be a sounding board. Or
you get by giving, right?
Yeah, I think
life comes to you, ironically, the more you give. And the more you push things out, the more that come into your life.
Yeah, that's a great question. Great
Thank
question.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Caroline Cooper. I'm currently a senior here, and I am a CJM major as well, specifically public relations. But my favorite thing to do on campus, honestly, is working at the Career Center. So I work in our Career Center as well as our Office of Workforce Development. So one of the big things, especially as a senior, is figuring out how I'm going to get myself out into the workforce. But I also want tips that I can pass along to people as I'm working in these offices as well. So what's one thing that you would look for as employers, CEOs, bosses of your whole realm that you are looking for someone going into your world? What can they show during an interview? What is a quality that you want to spotlight and you would hire someone for?
Fun fact, she's here covering this for the slate.
Oh, awesome.
How cool is that, right? So
that's a fabulous question. I'm looking at Pamela right here, who owns a staffing firm, who could meet with you and give you all the tips. You know, when I'm interviewing, and I don't interview as much as these women do or Pamela does, but I look for the personality first. The soft skills close your deal. The hard skills, like what Shippensburg gives you, your technical prowess, your ability, you know, to write a media release or create social media profiles, that gets you the interview. But what closes that deal is what we call with clients executive presence. I mean, this sounds way too simple, but smiling, being able to get rid of your device. Can you carry on a conversation? Can you ask questions and be earnest and curious and want to learn? Are you a team player? Those are all things that really seal the deal.
EQ.
Yeah, emotional intelligence.
It is that connection. And no matter what device is tech, like, people connect with people. People buy things and sell it with people. And if we're not doing that, someone else will, right? We're a pack animal, right? We're a species of connection and togetherness. And I think those soft skills can't necessarily be taught by rote, but they're instinctive, they can be learned, and they can be improved upon, right, with people around you.
Yeah.
And find those people that are like you, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Here comes Lori.
Lori.
It's time to
Is there
pull
like a
her.
gong that would tell us?
I was going to say, so was this a good conversation tonight, or was this a good conversation? So we actually have an extraordinary treat for everyone tonight. This was decided when Anne and Annie came in today. Grit Gravitas is all about uplifting women, supporting women. And so tonight, Grit Gravitas is gifting everybody here a copy of Love on Tour. So thank you to Annie Carnathan, Anne Deeter Gallaher, Grit Gravitas.
And if you don't know of a woman, her name is Tracy Jones. She's a PhD. Her father was Charlie Tremendous Jones. And he said, the difference now and in 5 years for you is the people you meet and the books you read. It's the only thing that will be different about you 5 years from today. The people you meet and the books you read. You've met all of us and each other tonight. First step good, and now you're going to get a book because you can't read enough. So thank you again. Congratulations to Lee.
I know.
And Anne and I are thrilled to do it, and thanks to Lori, the entire team. It's just been an extraordinary way to pay it forward.
Good. Thanks for your time and your questions, your ideas. It has been an absolute delight to return to campus and spend time with you. And we look forward to any feedback you guys have. We would love, your questions, your recommendations for guests too. And to the seniors in the room, we're beyond excited to have you in our workplaces. Thank you.
And if there's anything that I can do for anybody whether it's talk to professors to help students, whether it's students who want to reach out to me if you have any questions about my industry, radio records.
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson, I just went to see him in the spring. He's still fantastic. My mom was wrong. We could have gotten married. Sorry to my husband. But if there's anything I can do for anybody, please, they've got my contact information. Reach out.
Enjoy your book.
Yes. Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.